Columbia. This is Houston, AOS over.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the TKW Podcast. I'm Anthony Corbo. I'm back once again to lead you through the back half of this just preposterous Knicks season so far. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Kyle Maggio. What's going on, bud?
Not a whole lot. No, just a brutal loss to the Suns.
It's fascinating. I mean, like, this game was so bad. I thought this game was initially just going to be like a rock fight for a while, or just be like, you know, both teams just kind of like bricking threes, and then we ended up getting something very different. We ended up having the Knicks shooting well to begin the game, but just throwing the ball away with every opportunity they had. And then, you know, you had Phoenix not really being able to shoot well. If anything, they were the one throwing the rocks around until Devin Booker finally got hot. That was about all it took to seal the Knicks up. It's just, I mean, this is one of the worst passing games I think I've ever seen.
It was not good. This is like, when I look back on the 2014-2015 tank season, like, these are the kinds of games that I remember from it, you know, like, sure, there might have been an exciting win or two, you know, but I don't remember that off the top of my head. You know, what I remember is right now is like just some of those gross losses, you know, from a gross season. And that's what tonight felt like one of those statement gross tank losses. And Moutier had like 2 points and 1 assist and 5 turnovers, and I think the Knicks barely. I think they just cracked double-digit assists on like in garbage time right at the end.
Yeah, I mean, everybody just. It was. So they lose 107-96, and it's like you're saying. You have, you know, the team had over 20. They had 21 turnovers. They it's just. I just don't know what to do with this team. You have, like you said, Moutier with 2 points and an assist. You have, you know, you played 17 minutes out there. You have Frank Ntilikina, who is still injured, and coach seems like, you know, he's saying that he doesn't think he'll be back anytime soon. You have Kevin Knox, who actually looked kind of aggressive to start the game off, and I kind of liked what he was doing, but just his inability to score a bucket, you know, made that aggressiveness really kind of fade off real quickly. He had a decent showing from the free throw line, but, you know, 7 points is not anything that I'm going to give him very much credit for. The only Nick that really had, you had the center position was really the only spot that was really even performing for this team. All the guards, all the forwards, everyone just looked like sub-mediocre to just downright abysmal tonight.
Yeah, and I also thought Dennis was pretty good tonight. Him and Dot.
I thought Dennis,
well,
no, both of them came around a little bit as the game went on, but they started the game atrociously. I mean, Dotson, you know, he was kind of scoring pretty well at the beginning, but, you know, he was only doing it on like mid-range fadeaways. Dennis Smith Jr. was just dribbling the ball into the middle of the paint and then stopping and then, you know, getting caught and trying to find somebody. They were constantly missing. I mean, and this goes to the, you know, so many turnovers in the game and, you know, the low assists and everything like that. It's just, they're constantly tossing the ball like around the court, and it just goes out of bounds. They just constantly dribble into the middle and then try to pass out of it, and there's no one there. It's just they did come around a little as the game went on, but it was a really poor start when it came to the ball movement that really set the pace for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously as a whole, everyone wasn't really there tonight. I think Mitch obviously played pretty well. 8 points, 8 rebounds. Of course, there's 4 blocks, 2 steals, and also 1 assist. But he just was very impactful again tonight. But, you know, he can only do so much. You know, it's still a team sport. You know, one man can never generally will a team unless you're like a LeBron, you know. So I thought he played pretty well again. He's just, you know, really his consistency's been impressive for me. You know, whether it's not like a gaudy, you know, point game like he has the last stretch where he's scoring like 12 and 15, but just consistency, just staying in the game, you know, 20 plus minutes again, you know, 22 minutes tonight, still keeping it up with the blocks. He's been aggressive on the boards.
Setting records with the blocks now. I mean, like he's leading the league in 3-point blocks at this point.
Yeah.
Super fascinating. It seems like it's a very limited skill around the league, but it's still something that gets him into trouble sometimes. He needs to really stop biting at every little thing. But I thought in this game he was okay with not so much going for the pump fake. Yeah, I mean he was the bright spot, and then DeAndre Jordan actually played a pretty good game given his minute load today too. And coming back off of injury and everything. So both of those guys performing, but yeah, early on this game seemed like one that the Knicks. I remember thinking to myself at one point at the very beginning, like, wow, this team might like beat the Suns by 20 or something tonight, and it just ended up going the complete opposite direction.
Yeah, I thought DeAndre, he's sort of being like Bryan suggested, I think it was 2 pods ago, that he's Cantor-like. He just doesn't really bring it defensively. Like he's just, you know, he'll make the block because he's, you know, long, and that's his thing. Like he'll give you a swat here and there, but more often than not, he's just kind of hanging back. He's a step late on a couple of his rotations. So aside from that, obviously 17 and 14 is good, but especially when you do it on 7 of 8 shooting. But just defensively, I just didn't feel like anybody was there. I know Booker was cooking, and Booker's a special player, and when he's shooting 60% from the field, that's tough. It
wasn't even really just Booker though. I mean, like Oubre had 18 points in the game. You had Tyler Johnson with 14.
Was cooking a little bit.
Yeah.
Oubre was cooking. He was doing a lot of ISO too. So
like that's the whole thing. It took the Suns a while to catch on in this game, but they eventually did. The Knicks just gave them enough space to do so. I mean, like, you know, even you the turnover numbers is really the one that says it the most. Like, just taking a look at all the stats on here, it really comes down to if the Knicks could hold onto the ball more, and were just, you know, had more of an idea what they were going to do once they got the ball in the half court. It really would have made a big difference. They could have taken a very early lead in it, and I doubt the Suns could have crawled right back into it like this.
And I will say too, I didn't really have much of an issue with what Fizdale did rotation wise. I mean, there's a little bit of Dennis Moutier, I think, but aside from that, you know, the minutes distribution I thought that was pretty good. Moutier played less than he has, 16 minutes tonight. You know, Dennis played 37. Dotson played 33. You know,
that came in with 32. Yeah.
I mean, I thought all of the right guys were getting all the right burn. You know, that's what we've been bitching about, is too much Moutier and not letting these guys go. And I felt like he more or less he did what we would have asked. Like
Moutier, being a little bit out of the lineup is kind of a good sign of things to come. Fizdale still insists on throwing that, you know, Dennis Smith Jr. and Moutier lineup out there when he can. It was incredibly frustrating to watch for stretches tonight. But, you know, at the same time, a lot of the other guys are getting their minutes right now. So, you know, it's not like it's necessarily taking away too many minutes from anybody. You know, maybe you would have seen a little bit more of like shifting Dotson up and then giving Knox a few more minutes if he was playing well. But you know, that wasn't happening. So he's deploying the pieces that he has. It's just at a certain point, this roster is it's just not good. At a certain point, you just have to accept that this roster is it's just they're constantly going to be fighting an uphill battle. They just don't match the talent level of even seemingly the Phoenix Suns. Like it looked apparent out there that, you know, the Suns even have a stronger squad from a talent perspective than the Knicks have right now. And the Knicks have potential and everything like that. And the Knicks may have more potential in some of their pieces, but just raw talent on what the Knicks are putting on the floor right now, they just cannot keep up with these teams.
Yeah, I mean, the Suns have some actual players on that team. I think we're still trying to hope that these guys are NBA players for the most part, and a lot of the Suns just more or less are. You know, like we know who Devin Booker is. He's pretty damn good. We know DeAndre Ayton is. We know, Kelly Oubre is. Like we know that they have some legitimate guys on that team, that have been a part of, in Oubre's case, a good team anyway, with the Wizards for those last couple of years, though they underachieved a bit. But, this is just where the youth kind of kills you. It's just a young team getting killed on the road against the team that they can hang with, probably should beat, and just didn't. So, stinks.
Can you tell me what's going on with Kevin Knox at this point now? Like, is there something different you're seeing from your perspective from what we've discussed already, or is this just more of the same for him right now?
I mean, it's sort of more of the same. And I think that's okay. I think that's all right. I mean, he didn't really force it tonight. Just 5 shot attempts. He was 1 of 5. He got to the line a number of times, but 5 of 6 from the line tonight. But no threes. Just I don't know. I just think like he's keeping
not even one
simple.
Taken.
Yeah,
I mean, the Knicks definitely shot their low in 3-pointer for the season. They only put up 15 3-pointers across the entire night.
Yeah, that's not okay.
Yeah, they made 6 of them all night long. That's insane to me. But like, it's just, he needs to be. It seems like he can do one thing a night. It feels like he gets into those kind of grooves sometimes where he can just do one thing. He could just drive at the rim, or he'll just be hanging out on the perimeter, or he'll just be like, it's just, or he'll be like playing defense one night or something like that. It's just he seems to only be able to do one thing at a time, and it's really going to be key for him to try to tie it all together. But until he does that, he's just not going to be a good NBA player. Do you see that thing that came out today with him being compared to Wiggins?
I did, and that stung, but also kind of fair.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully he projects differently. The difference is, of course, where they were, where they were drafted and what their expectations were to their team when they came into the league. But yeah, I'm hoping Kevin Knox doesn't have quite the faith that Andrew Wiggins has had so far. And
I know Wiggins gets slammed. I think he's still a pretty good player. It's just he's just not what we hoped he would be. A lot of fans thought he would be. So that's, the expectations killing him a little bit. But I don't know. I still see it with Kevin. Like, you could still see, like, in Wiggins, like, why someone could think there would be a star player there, Like, you could still see it with Kevin Knox. And I think that's what's the problem.
Right.
We saw it in December. It's it's there. We know it's there. And, God, I don't know. I think he's got to play through it.
Right. And
I like that Fizdale's playing him through it. Just let him keep going.
And Andrew Wiggins was drafted in 2014 versus Kevin Knox being drafted in 2018. There's plenty of time still for Kevin Knox to work, to the point where he has surpassed where Wiggins is at this point, and with this talent level. But it's just the signs are kind of there's similarities, and right now there's just things that Kevin Knox needs to avoid that he's not necessarily avoiding, and I'm just hoping that with more experience, he's going to have hopefully a good summer. Hopefully he'll be working hard this summer, and he'll be able to come back a little bit more complete. But yeah, Knox is just he can just be destructive out there right now. It's really just what it comes down to. He just can't get into the flow of things more often than not.
I will say that I do think, and I'm pretty confident that he's going to be a better player than what Wiggins is now.
Yes, I agree.
And I feel that way mostly because, and I know his rebounding rate is pretty low, but we've seen what he can do for stretches when he's really engaged and on the boards, and I think it's more of a motor thing than anything else. But he is a pretty good rebounder, and I know that the rate's low, but he's good at that. And when he's engaged, we've seen him get double-digit rebounds. We've seen him get 8-9 rebound games more than a couple of times. So I think that's going to be the thing that kind of separates him. I think even if he shoots kind of similarly to Wiggins, if he's rebounding where, kind of what Melo was doing for a while, where he was scoring and giving you like 7.5 rebounds a game from the small forward position, I think that's kind of where Knox can really be effective is, do that scoring, but also as a wing, provide some of that rebounding punch.
So we also saw, well, actually, I should ask you, did you see anything in Henry Ellison's 3 minutes tonight?
No, he's not a very good player.
Because from what I heard, what I've been kind of reading, and for what the general conversation seemed to have been on Twitter and other places in the last week or so, is that the Knicks got a lottery talent when they picked this guy up from the Detroit Pistons, who waived him.
I think he was the 18th pick in that draft, but
I don't think he should be playing over Luke Kornet. I mean, he didn't play tonight. He got 3 minutes. I'm being facetious, but it's just like I don't get why you're not trying to play a little bit more of something that you have in Kornet versus trying to bring this guy Ellenson in out of the blue in the last 19 games to try to evaluate what you have out of him. I don't see how it would make sense. I'd rather try to get a deeper reading on an asset that I've already been working on developing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Kornet's been pretty good. I know I'm not super high on him, but he's been pretty damn good this season when he's gotten the opportunity. So that's a little bit unfortunate, and it stings a little bit because Kornet's one of the success stories from Westchester Knicks, and it's always fun when our homegrown guys do well. Like Trey Burke came up here and killed it, and it's always good to see those guys. Just Langston Galloway was obviously like the first one, that made it, but it stinks. I thought we were gonna, see him do, that same thing Trey did, basically come shine a little bit. Knicks maybe let him walk, and then he goes and signs with another team and hangs around for a while. But, Ellenson just kind of stinks. I get why he's intriguing. He's tall and he can shoot threes, but it's just not. It's not there. Kornet does that already, and he at least plays defense.
So coming up for our. Oh, by the way, hold on. We should take a look at what this does for the Knicks records right now, or the Knicks and the Suns record. The Knicks are now 13-52, where the Suns are 15-51. We are that much closer to just securing a spot in the top 5 of this draft. The odds are going to be they're going to be weighted. We all know how it works at this point. We haven't stopped talking about it for the last year. But I'm starting to feel pretty good that the Knicks are going to select no lower than 5th, Kyle.
I'm pessimistic with this stuff because
I think we're going to have the worst record. I don't think we can avoid it at this point.
Look, we're going to have the worst record. It doesn't excite me anymore. Like if you last season I would have been excited, but like now it's like, well. Everybody, says, well, you're locked into a top 5 pick, and that's great. It's obviously the best position to be in, but we still have an 86% chance at not getting the first pick
and that's
versus,
fine.
The lesser chance before, and And it's just, and you used to have a better chance at the top 3. It's just not. I don't feel great about this.
The way that I look at it, I know that the whole number 1 pick thing, generally speaking, the Knicks are going to finish with one of the 4 worst records in the league. I can pretty much guarantee it at this point. So, we have pretty much a 14% chance at getting that number 1 pick, and I'm fine with that. It's all weighed between those first 4 picks. I think the 4th pick has a 12% chance or something like that, but it's all weighed out. I know that that's kind of out of the tanking hands. I'm fine with that. I just don't want to have a situation where we drop down to 7 or 8 or anything like that. I'm still rooting for them to keep losing games at this point, mostly because I don't really care anymore. The wins aren't going to bring me any excitement either. I just want the season to be over, to be completely honest with you. I don't know how much more of this I can take. But I also want to make sure that they don't drop below 5. I think that it still is important to lose with that worst record in the league because dropping below, it starts to get scary after 2 or 3 in this draft, but dropping below 5, I can only imagine what kind of talent the Knicks could walk away with. They're not exactly the top evaluators we've ever seen in that category.
But yeah, I mean, after the top 2, everybody else kind of stinks to me. I'm probably highest on Ja Morant after that, but then I have my concerns about his conference that he plays in, which isn't very competitive. But his game intrigues me a lot, and I would be fine risking a pick on him at whatever we're at, 2 or 3 or 4. But I don't know everybody else. I mean, obviously Zion, I'd be over the moon for Zion, right? Barrett, I'd be disappointed a little bit. We didn't get Zion, but okay, fine. That's a perfectly fine pick. Let's see what happens. I really do not want Cam Reddish.
I think he's kind of dropping off.
I don't think he's particularly good. I'm not very high on him. I see the things that he can do well. He can be a very good defender. He can shoot pretty well, but he reminds me kind of Knox, if Knox played defense. And, we don't, just from his motor, he just disappears. And everybody says yes, well, it's his role, behind Zion and RJ, but I don't know. I don't buy it. And somebody they're all talented, don't get me wrong, but it's just, you can kind of really see it with Zion and RJ. And I just don't at all see it with the rest of these guys.
Well, all we can do is lose, though, right? It's pretty much out of our hands otherwise. We sure as shit can't win. We're kind of proving that so far.
Yeah, and we had a fun little 3 out of, I think we won 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5.
Yeah, that's the best that's going to get, people.
And
enjoy that.
And then here we are yet again.
I've been tempted to tune into some Mavericks games lately. I kind of want to see what Tim Hardaway Jr. chucking in their uniform looks like.
Yeah, I've seen he's had his ups and downs as one would expect because we saw that here. But he mostly looks a little bit better. I've glanced at some of the games and he looks pretty good next to Luka. It makes sense. It actually is a pretty good fit. I know everybody thinks the Mavericks just took him on because of KP, and maybe so, but he also does fit there.
God, the Knicks. All right, Knicks play on Saturday and Sunday this weekend.
Yeah, we got to work these days.
What, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, normally it's fun to just plan on the one day, and it's enjoyable when you have one for the weekend. But we get Kings on Saturday. I'll actually be there. That's a matinee. I'll be there with Stone. So, and then Sunday, the Wolves.
Hey, shouts to our own Bryan Gibberman right now too. Phoenix's own Bryan Gibberman, who is at the game tonight, probably getting drunk right now. Tried to get him on here to talk to you all and tell you guys what the vibe was like tonight, but Judging off of all the empty seats on the TV, I'm guessing there wasn't much of a vibe at all, honestly.
I wish they would move the Suns to Seattle. I don't know. I just don't
Didn't
see
they
it.
just get like a new arena deal too? Didn't Starver strong arm the city into giving them one?
Yeah, pretty much. I was reading about that. I was listening to the Levitard show. It must have been a couple of months ago, I think, and this lady, I think, was giving Robert Sarver hell at like one of those city council meetings, and it was him or the lawmakers that approved. I don't know, but Levitard had her on, and she was just ripping into him about about basically like the deal. And just another quick side note: I don't get how these billionaire owners get the city to pay for arenas. I'll never understand. And I get like, oh, well, it creates jobs and the economy and whatnot, but they have
the same
way
that billionaire owners get out of paying everything.
It just
they just don't have to.
Well, I think Robert Ballmer is actually gonna fund it himself, in LA for their new arena. Which, by the way, one of these days we should touch on. There's apparently a pretty juicy story about Steve Ballmer and James Dolan hating each other over a property war involving the new LA arena.
Oh, that's fun. I got to research that.
Yeah. So I read a little bit about it. It's very
what kind of property is this?
So LA's opening, their new arena, and basically it was one of the MSG properties, I think.
Oh,
and
is that the Los Angeles Forum you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and
they just renovated that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think the property the Clippers needed was like it was a part of it, but it was a separate lot. MSG just owned some of the lots, and I guess one of them was like for extra parking. So the Clippers needed that basically, and I think they were in cahoots with somebody to like not renew something for MSG, or I don't know. It got nuts. It's a good story. You should read it. I don't want to misquote anything, but it was good.
It's in the LA Times.
I really don't know. I'm gonna just Google aimlessly until I figure it out. But
wow, yeah, I'm reading through like a Los Angeles Times article right now, and it's just crazy.
Oh, there you go.
That could be. I mean, yeah, fuel the rivalry back up. Let's get Clippers Knicks to be a thing.
Yeah, but So anyway, I don't know how these guys get it doesn't make a ton of sense to me, and it's nice to see Ballmer go out there and go, yeah, I'm just going to fund the whole thing. I was like, well, good.
Of course, James Dolan is the one that stands in his way.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. This fucking guy. All right. So we got the Kings coming up this Saturday. That's going to be the noon game. And then we playing the Timberwolves on Sunday. I mean, we kind of, I guess, expect more of the same with the Kings after the game on Monday. Buddy Hield went off against us, so
they're just so fast.
They are so fast. They
are unbelievable. Anthony, go to my timeline real quick and go look at I tweeted at the video of Fox throwing this pass. I don't know that I've ever seen a faster pass thrown in my entire life.
That dude just moves. And Hield too. Like, God, I'm so happy Buddy Hield has come on.
All those guys do is sprint. Literally sprint in any direction, in every direction.
Jesus
they are
Christ,
literally sprinting. Right? He literally flings it, and it's already, the camera barely can keep up. It's already in Buddy Hield's hands. It's beautiful. They play beautiful basketball. Do you remember when Vivek said, Vladdy said, sorry, that we have a super team of our own, basically, like we have our own young super team. And everybody, including myself, and I'm a gigantic De'Aaron Fox fan, and I was like, buddy, this is not what you think it is.
Yeah, and then Jaeger also went out and compared Hield and Bagley to Durant and Westbrook. So,
and listen, I think super team and those comparisons, I think that's a little still a little far fetched, but they're taking some all of the young guys are taking some real strides. So I think it's very fun. And I say that because that's what I hope happens for this Knicks team next year, assuming we don't get anybody important via free agency. But, that would be the hope, is you pick up another lottery pick, he plays pretty well, and then all these other guys start taking strides and playing well too, and then maybe you have a fun young basketball team. It could happen. That's why we're hopeful for next season, But
what do you think that Mitchell Robinson does to Karl Anthony Towns on Sunday?
Honestly, I think he's going to do pretty well.
Where do you place the over/under for blocks on Towns? I think Mitch gets at least 2 on Towns.
I'm going to say 4.
On Towns?
And let me tell you why. Is because Towns actually does a surprising amount of posting up. And I think just off of sheer volume, Mitch is going to be really stuck bodying him or trying to handle him in the post. And I just think he's either going to have a shit ton of fouls. I think that's a guarantee. But before he does so, he's going to block a bunch of shots. I think Towns will still give him the business. I just think, Mitch is going to get his more than a few times.
Before we go any further, I want to remind everybody that they can subscribe to this podcast on their podcast platform of their choice. While you're there, just make sure you give us a 5-star review. Let us know how we're doing. Unsubscribe, resubscribe, do all that whole thing. We appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, please make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Head to theknickswall.com. We got articles coming up left and right around there. What do we got on the front page today? Let's see. It's a good one from Harrison Liao, one of our favorites on the site, the host of the Reddit NBA podcast, talking about Kevin Durant and how he's, just kind of his personality and how that might mesh with the Knicks. We have, we have Stephen Lewis, one of our newer writers, talking about the cap space and everything like that. So it's the best place you're going to go when you need your Knicks news boiled down from a variety of voices. We got you covered. We got Kyle working the social feeds. You got the, at the Knicks Wall. We got Stone on there too. We got our full team. Are you guys going to be teaming up for anything when you go to the game? Or are you just teaming up for drinks?
We'll see. I'd like to do something. There really is truly a bunch of you who listen to this podcast. So I'm going to assume one of you are going to be at the game. Maybe, possibly. So if you guys are at the game, we'll be in section 120. You can find us literally anytime. You should follow us by now on Twitter, and just hit us up. Let us know, and we'll figure something out. Again, I'd like to do something. Maybe I could bring a couple of things, but we shall see.
So, all right, well, let's brush through a couple of quick things that happened in the last day or so. I want to start with this one, tweeted by the currently injured Mario Hezonja. The toughest player to guard is unfortunately not in the NBA right now. You have one guess. Man, that felt good. I mean, they never played together, but God, I feel like Mario Hezonja has learned everything he knows from Carmelo Anthony, and that's probably not a great thing in the long run, but it's just gotta love any day that Melo's getting his praise.
Yeah, Mario Hezonja was my spirit animal there. He appeared to be my burner account, so
I don't doubt that.
Yep. So it's always nice to hear that kind of stuff, and I do scoff a little bit when people bring up like Melo's shooting percentages or things like that, because I don't think they understand what the question is. when people say like somebody who's hard to guard, like just simply physically having to guard the moves that that person is doing. Like having to guard a guy who's quick enough to blow by you, when Melo was doing that for over a decade, and a guy who could also bully you in the post or jab step you, like those are annoying things to have to guard when you're playing. It's not about the end result if Melo makes or misses the shot. It's about literally trying to guard that. And I think that's always what these guys are thinking about, as they should. And it's not just, I think people kind of get distracted from it because I saw some of the replies to things, and it's just, it's truly difficult to guard that kind of a player.
It is fascinating how the Lakers won't sign Melo now because they're just too bad.
I saw it. I thought that was really, really, really funny.
Like, what do you do?
That's like such a weird. That's such like a weird thing for Melo to just. It's like, bro, just go play basketball, man. It's already a weird roster that they have over there with some of these vets they signed. Just go.
So, LeBron James tweets today, "Can't even front. This is going to be unreal. Wow, man." Now, do you think that is in relation to him preparing to pass Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list, or is that about the Lakers not making the playoffs and him accepting that?
No, it was of course about himself and him passing Michael Jordan. 100%. Listen,
come on, what's more unreal? We all knew this was coming. This was coming.
He's very socially aware. He knows what's said and happens on social media.
So what a perfect time for a backhanded subtweet.
It's not a backhanded subtweet. It's we've been making fun of him. Literally, I have been audibly laughing reading the tweets of us making fun of him online for getting blown the fuck out during a game and then tweeting a personal accomplishment afterward. Not tweeting, Instagram posting. So then, instead of doing an Instagram post after, he does a congratulatory tweet beforehand. It's just what, so now if they get waxed tonight, we can't ridicule him for, the post game self-congratulatory post because it's already happened before they got waxed.
If he didn't score 13 points tonight, did you think that he could, would he have tweeted again until he's finished scoring those 13 points? Or would you have just left it there and just ignored everybody else? I think he would have done that. Anyway, we also had a report today that one point guard who is a former Knicks point guard came to visit our players at their practice facility. Jason Kidd came around and had a conversation with Dennis Smith Jr. and Emmanuel Mudiay. What's strange about this whole thing is that the Knicks point guard who does not know how to shoot right now but has defensive prowess was not in the conversation with the guy who basically was that until he became a Hall of Famer. Ntilikina, from what I hear, was on the court doing some other activities or whatever. But don't you think it would have kind of been more beneficial for him to just kind of have a couple of words with Jason Kidd for a little bit? I mean, the struggles are very similar.
Yes, but I know people were up in arms about that earlier. It was reported later on that Frank was just on the actual court doing work. So it wasn't, to me, it just feels like if Frank wanted to go talk to him, he could have went and gone to talk to him. I don't think the Knicks need to hold his hand to go do so. I think obviously Kidd was brought there for a reason to go talk to them. So we don't know that they didn't have a conversation somewhere else either, if Kidd was hanging out all day. So I don't want to go nuts on it. I know what the optics looked like, but if Frank was on the court getting work in, we know he's been rehabbing and trying to get ready to come back. So I don't put a ton of stock in it, to be honest.
Yep. I mean, I agree. I just, it's not anything that's going to be a game-changing thing. It just, to me, brings more questions up about, just the day-to-day with the team. Just making sure we're on the right path and everything. It just seemed like an easy opportunity to bring a little bit of confidence back to Frank. But, with his injury, we just have no idea where he's at. We have no idea what's going to be going on with that. So, who knows? I guess we're not really going to have too much of a tea leaf segment on this episode. We're going to kind of be wrapping up here. It's getting late. We're tired here. We got things to do. But before we go, there were some pots being stirred by one Chris Broussard earlier today. Why don't we take a listen to what Chris had to say?
The dream scenario for the Clippers is Kawhi and KD. And I was told yesterday by a good source, we all know Kyrie and KD are considering the Knicks, right? Mm-hmm. But I was told that they have some apprehensions about New York. Why? Because of the media.
Yeah,
which makes all the sense in the world from what we've seen.
Them two together?
That could benefit the Clippers.
Broussard saying that the Knicks need to be worried about the Clippers and, the Clippers' ultimate goal of trying to sign Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard, and, that the reason why, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving would be hesitant to sign with the Knicks is because of the New York media. It's just, I mean, look, there's a big interest in the Knicks in New York, and there are a lot of newspapers in New York. This is certainly true. But is this really that big of a deal to these guys? Like, if they were going to come to New York, I don't think that, the thing that's going to halt them and that they weren't considering beforehand is how the media will treat them.
I just think the media thing is always so overblown. I don't.
These guys don't give a shit about, the beat writers that the Knicks have without, throwing around any names or anything. It's just like, these guys are here to do their jobs and everything, but these players don't ultimately care what they have to say, or it's a non-factor. They're just trying to do what they can, get them away from them and everything like that. But it's not. They don't care about it that much, right?
I just don't think it really, like, wherever they're gonna go, the team's gonna be good. You know what I mean? Like, it's the good teams always have more coverage. It's just the way that it is.
And Durant's never been one to shy away from the media before. He has this problems with that, but he's never been one to, I mean, I guess he did actually just have that, like, couple of week stretch where he stopped talking to the media altogether. So I guess this point doesn't necessarily stand as strong as I meant it to, but, like, for his personality is someone who's a bit more. He's a more of a challenging person. He's going to challenge what people will say about him. He's going to challenge the narrative. I don't think that he's going to have any problem telling the New York media what he truly thinks about them at that point in time.
Yeah, and I just don't. They don't ask these. They don't really ask hard questions. I don't get. I don't get what the like now. This season, the questions he's getting asked in Golden State are going to be hard questions because reports get out and things leak. But when you're here, if you were to sign here, it's going to be on a 4-year deal. Like, there's no, at least for the first year or two, there's no leaving. You know what I mean? Like, he's here. He might have an option or something going. You know what I mean? Like, then we can speculate after that. But once you got the guy here, that there's no in your face. Oh. Are you requesting a trade to go play with, Giannis in Milwaukee? We saw you guys, talking about something courtside. It's not going to happen 2 months into him signing here. That's not there's not going to be hard questions. It's just going to be regular basketball questions. That's always been overblown to me, this media thing.
Right. And I think that, yeah, exactly. Like, especially if, like you said, where Durant's going to go, the team is going to be at least, a playoff level team. And I think once that comes into the question, you have less, the media tends to treat you a lot better. You think, like, Kevin Durant's going to come in here, and as long as he continues to put up, similar numbers to what he's putting up in Golden State and have that kind of an impact, and this team makes the playoffs, like, he's going to get, praised. He's going to be a king around here. He's going to be everything that they've been looking for. I don't think, and it's, there might be the bad side that people talk about. There might be the reputation out there that, people think of the New York media and everything. But when things are good, they're good. Like when Kevin Durant is playing well and when the Knicks are finding some sort of success, I'm saying this all in very short terms, but let's, just hypothetically, like, if the Knicks are finding that sense of success, like, he's going to be praised in a much greater sense than he would have been in other markets. There's just two sides to every coin, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. It is late. We should probably be wrapping this thing up. So thank you, everyone, for listening in again. Just don't forget to give Kyle a follow at Kyle Maggio. Give me a follow at Corbo Anthony. Brian's not here right now, but he's still a great follow, too. He's always up to something on that feed. So follow him at Bryan Giverman.
Hold on real quick. Brian got fucking dunked on today.
Destroyed. Man.
Just windmill 360 slam dunk down by Jamal Adams. I love you, Brian, but oh my God.
It was on brand for him. He was he was being rational, as he often does, a little, he has the kind of rationality that tends to piss a lot of people off. And I think that's what we saw today out of Jamal Adams. So
I just love Jamal's response was a quote tweet just saying, "Oh wow," and then in an instant there were hundreds of people in Brian's mentions in an instant. Go look at the ratio on the tweet. I'm gonna filibuster as I get to the tweet, so
he said he got threats on his life after this tweet.
Yeah. Hold on. I am arriving at the tweet. Hold on.
Well, me filibustering for you doesn't mean you coming in and saying hold on. I'm eating the time that you're trying to waste here by getting the tweet up. Do you have the ratio? Because that was me further filibustering there by yelling at you.
Oh. All right, okay. So the tweet said the Jets fan base would freak out. So he's already acknowledging that, hey, I know you guys are gonna think this is Chris.
No, he knows his brand. He's very self-aware.
I just love that he's already trying to go, hey guys, calm down. I'm trying to have a conversation without you freaking out. But trading Jamal Adams for all the picks, then signing one of the 8 million quality safeties available, which there are a ton, makes all sorts of sense. And he didn't say he would do the trade. He didn't say the Jets should do the trade. He didn't say trade him. He didn't say he didn't like Jamal Adams. He just said if you were to get a haul of picks, and we all know what a haul of picks is, that's normally at least 3 picks. And normally 1 or 2 of those has to be pretty damn good. So he's basically saying and the ratio just keeps going up. And
it's just his way of saying unless too. It's just the particular way he phrases that term. To
me, it's just very like guys. I know everybody dunked at him, and I still think it's hysterical, but it was kind of logical. But the ratio was, I also wouldn't do the trade, by the way. So just leave me alone and go bother Brian about it. I would not do the trade. I just think there is some sort of logic to it. But the ratio was, I'm gonna leave the best for last. So there was 116 likes, which I feel like 116 of those were hate likes. To bring back up at a later time, to throw back in Brian's face. 14 retweets. And 339 replies.
Oh, poor boy got buried.
And when I first pulled that up, it was like 336. So
he's gonna start responding to them soon.
Yeah, so that was truly something to behold.
Anyway, pray for our boy Bryan, everybody. Head to theknickswall.com. Read everything that's coming up. Read our recap of tonight's game. Read our preview of the weekend's games. All the other features coming out in between. subscribe to this podcast on YouTube and on the platform you're choosing. Leave us a nice little review, and we will talk to you all on Sunday.